When my husband said I'd have to beg him even for tampon money, I realized silence can cut deeper than any scream. She opened the apartment door. The air felt heavy, like the walls remembered every argument. 3 years in this house, 3 years of moving carefully around Aaron and his mother, Norma. At first, Norma sounded kind. "You two stay with me," she'd said. "Save up. Buy your own place." Kindness, she learned, has an expiration date. Now every meal came with a side of judgment. "Eggs too hard. You ruined my appetite again. You left the light on trying to bankrupt me?" Aaron never defended her. "She's old," he'd sigh. "We'll move out soon." Soon. That word became a private joke, and the punchline was always her. At work, Maya was a senior financial controller. Numbers obeyed her. People didn't. Each month she slipped part of her salary into a private account. Not for shopping, for freedom. The balance read $25,200. 3 more months and she'd be gone. She told herself, numbers hide secrets better than people. That night, Norma bragged on the phone, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. You know what she did? Bought an $800 coat. Living here for free and spending like a queen. Maya stood in the hallway holding that same coat, paid for with her own savings. Truth didn't matter here, only control did. At dinner, Norma dropped a tiny piece of chicken on her plate. "That's plenty for you. You don't work hard enough to be hungry." Aaron added, "You should have asked first. We're a family, remember." Maya smiled faintly. A family? Or an audience? The room froze. Norma hissed, "You better watch that tongue, girl." Maya's voice stayed calm. "I am. Everything." It's easier to stay quiet, she thought. People who talk too much here disappear. That night she sat by the window, the city flickering beyond the glass. 3 months, she whispered. Just 3. But the next morning came with new cruelty. Aaron entered holding her cards. "I blocked them all," he said. She frowned. "What?" He smirked. "Your credit, your account's gone. From now on you'll ask me for every dollar. Even for tampons." Behind him, Norma smiled. "That's how you fix a disobedient woman." Aaron leaned closer. "You really thought you could outsmart me?" Maya's pulse slowed. "All right," she said softly. "Let's play that game then." That night, she opened her real account, the one Aaron never knew about. Safe. Untouched. Her eyes stopped on another file. Norma Carter, home improvement loan, $20,000. Weeks earlier, Norma had asked her to help fill that form. "Do it for me, sweetheart." Maya had quietly clicked, co-borrower, management rights only. Now she used it. She transferred the entire $20,000 to a verified children's hospital charity and submitted a loan termination request. By law, the bank would demand full repayment from Norma within 72 hours. Maya zipped a duffel, passport, charger, jeans, and silence and walked to the living room. Norma and Aaron laughed at the TV. The phone rang. Norma answered and froze. Her voice cracked. "What do you mean the funds are gone? Who authorized that?" Aaron grabbed the phone. "What transfer? Who did it?" Maya stood in the doorway. "I did." They turned toward her in shock. "You wanted me to beg for tampon money," she said. "Now let's see who ends up begging the bank." She lifted her bag, opened the door, and stepped into the night. The street glistened, washed clean after the rain. That night, I learned silence isn't weakness. It's the sound of someone finally free. She didn't look back. But behind her, the quiet she left behind was about to make noise. The morning sunlight crept through the curtains of Leah's small apartment. Maya stretched, the air warm with the smell of coffee and rain-washed streets. It felt strange, waking up without fear. No voices outside the door. No footsteps pacing the hall. Just calm. Leah called from the kitchen, "Coffee's ready." Maya joined her at the small table, holding a second-hand mug between her hands. "This place isn't much," Leah said. "It's everything," Maya replied. And she meant it. She had a plan now, not revenge, just renewal. She would start quietly, save again, rebuild the version of herself that existed before fear became a habit. Back at Norma's house, the silence Maya left behind was turning into chaos. Two bank officials stood at the door, polite smiles hiding bad news. Norma tried to charm them, then argued, then begged. The smiles faded as her voice cracked. One officer adjusted his tie, avoiding her eyes. The other scribbled notes as thunder rolled outside. By the time they left, she was clutching the doorframe like someone watching her house collapse. The same neighbors who once waved now crossed the street. The mailbox stayed empty, except for bills. Aaron shouted for hours, blaming everyone except himself. Norma wept, pacing the kitchen. By evening, their phones buzzed with messages from relatives who had seen her name in a local article. Elderly woman faces repayment after unauthorized transfer to charity. The bank statement was firm. The authorization came from her own account. Aaron lost his job after a coworker forwarded the article to their office chat with the caption, "Finance guy married to a thief, careful with your wallet." He punched a wall that night. Norma just whispered to herself, "She'll come back." She has to. But Maya never did. Across town, Maya met Leah for coffee again. Leah studied her quietly. "You look like someone who finally turned the volume down on a nightmare." Maya smiled. "Maybe I just learned what silence really sounds like." They talked about work, about starting over. Leah offered her a spare room. "It's small," she warned. "Small sounds perfect," Maya said. That evening, Maya cooked for the first time in months. She set the plate on the table and listened. No insults. No footsteps. Just quiet. She thought about the woman she used to be, the one who apologized for everything, who flinched at every sigh. That woman had survived storms by staying still. Now, stillness meant choice. The next morning, she went to a job interview. Different company, same work. The manager looked over her resume. Impressive record. "Why'd you leave your last firm?" Maya smiled. "I needed a change of atmosphere." He nodded, and she smiled, the kind of smile that hides a whole past. Later that week, an email arrived. Subject, "I miss you." Message, "You'll regret this someday." Maya read it once, sipped her coffee, and deleted it without a word. Some ghosts only live if you talk to them. That night, she passed a shop window and caught her reflection. She looked the same, but her eyes didn't. There was something steadier now, something whole. She went inside and bought a small silver ring. Not a symbol of love, a promise of never shrinking again. As she slipped it on, she whispered, "This one's for me." Norma's health began to decline under stress. Aaron handled bills, begged the bank for extensions, and finally began to understand what Maya had lived through, a life built on someone else's rules. He tried calling her again. The number stayed blocked. Sometimes silence isn't revenge, it's a mirror. And in that mirror, both of them were finally seeing themselves. That night, Maya wrote in a small journal she'd started keeping. "Freedom isn't loud. It's steady. It's the quiet routine of coffee and peace, of knowing no one owns your choices." She turned off the light. Outside, the city hummed louder than her thoughts, but kinder too. That night, I learned that silence doesn't end stories. Sometimes it begins new ones. A month passed. The city had settled into its usual rhythm, horns, chatter, wind between tall buildings. But for Maya, everything sounded different now. Even noise felt peaceful when it wasn't followed by shouting. At work, she had already built a quiet reputation. Her calm steadied everyone around her. When deadlines piled up, she didn't raise her voice. She just breathed and fixed what others panicked about. Her manager, Daniel, noticed it one afternoon. "You don't seem to rush," he said. Maya smiled. "I used to rush for the wrong reasons." He nodded, curious but respectful. "Whatever you're doing, it's working." That week, a new intern joined, a young woman named Chloe. Bright eyes, nervous hands, always saying sorry. Maya saw herself in her almost instantly. One evening, the office was nearly empty when Chloe knocked on Maya's desk. "Can I ask something?" she whispered. "Of course." Chloe hesitated. "How do you stop letting people control you, even when you know they're wrong?" Maya looked at her for a long moment. Then she said, "You start small. You stop explaining yourself. And when they get louder, You learn that silence is sometimes the best answer. Chloe nodded, eyes glistening. I wish I could do that. You will, Maya said softly. When you've had enough, you will. That conversation stayed with Maya all night. It wasn't pity she felt, it was recognition. She realized her silence had finally become something new, not protection, but guidance. The next morning, an email appeared in her inbox from an address she didn't recognize. Subject line, "Thank you for saving us." It was from the children's hospital she had donated the money to. They wrote about how her anonymous transfer had paid for a year's worth of heart treatments. Attached was a picture, a small boy holding a handmade card that read, "Thank you, whoever you are." Maya stared at the photo for a long time. The boy's smile was wide, pure, untouched by greed or manipulation. For the first time since leaving, she felt tears not of pain, but release. Her choice had not just freed her, it had helped someone breathe. That night, as she walked home, her phone buzzed again. A number she didn't know. The message read, "This is Erin. Mom's in the hospital. She's asking for you." Maya stopped in the middle of the street. The city moved around her, cars passing, voices overlapping, 1,000 lives continuing. Her heartbeat stayed steady. For a long moment, her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she typed slowly, "I hope she finds peace." "I already have." And pressed send. On her walk back, she passed the old street once more. The house looked smaller than she remembered, quieter too. When she got home, another message waited. This time from Chloe. "I told my boyfriend I need space. I finally did it. Thank you for what you said yesterday." Maya smiled. "Good," she whispered. That's how silence spreads, one voice at a time. She took off her ring and placed it beside her journal. The pages were filling faster these days, not with pain, but with calm, with lessons, with small victories. She wrote, "The people who once tried to quiet me only taught me the value of listening to myself. Silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of self." She closed the notebook and turned off the lamp. Outside, the city hummed again, same world, new peace. Somewhere, a quiet voice began to sing. Weeks later, Chloe started wearing that same quiet confidence, the kind you can't fake. That night, I learned that when silence starts to speak, the whole world listens differently. The phone buzzed against the counter. It sounded too loud for the quiet morning. Maya glanced at it, expecting a work reminder, until she saw the message. "Norma's in the hospital. It's bad." Steam curled from the kettle, filling the silence. She hadn't heard Norma's name in months, yet her body remembered the sound. Old habits have long shadows. She poured the tea, sat down, and read the text again. No anger, just the weight of unfinished stories. Still, a thought pulsed beneath her calm. Was her silence finished, or still speaking? By noon another vibration broke the quiet. "She keeps asking for you. Please. Erin." 2 words, carrying every apology he'd realized too late. Maya opened her old notebook and wrote, "Peace feels real only when someone tests it and you still choose calm." Then she closed the cover and picked up her keys. Her hands didn't shake this time. But as she gripped the doorknob, a memory flickered, her hand hovering over a steering wheel on a night that used to tremble. If I see her again, what if the anger returns? She breathed through it. Peace wasn't the end of storms, it was learning to stand inside one without fear. The drive back felt like moving through an old photograph, same road, same turn, different heart. Rain tapped softly on the windshield, gentle where it once sounded like warning. At the hospital, the corridors hummed with machines and low voices. Norma looked smaller than memory, fragile still. When Maya stepped closer, recognition flickered in tired eyes. "I wasn't kind," Norma whispered. "You weren't," Maya said evenly. "I thought control meant love." "Then you learned something," she replied. "That's enough." Norma's smile trembled and faded. Maya set white lilies on the bedside table, quiet forgiveness in bloom. "I'm not here for revenge," she said. "Just to leave this where it belongs." She stepped out. The hallways smelled of antiseptic and wilted flowers. Endings never smell like peace. Erin waited there, guilt heavy in his face. You were right about everything, he said quietly. I just saw it too late. I didn't come for you, she answered. But I hope you both find peace. He nodded, but she was already walking away. Outside, the sky had softened to gold. From the garden, laughter rose light, ordinary. For years she'd only noticed silence. Now she heard life again, and it didn't frighten her. She smiled. The world hadn't changed, but she had. From her bag, she drew the silver ring. In the window's reflection, she saw not the woman who used to flinch, but someone finally whole. She placed the ring on the bench beside her. No ceremony, no speech. Just release. Driving home, she slowed near the old house. Its windows were boarded, the gate broken, the silence softer now. The house didn't whisper anymore. Maybe it remembered peace too. That night, she wrote one line in her journal. Sometimes peace isn't walking away, it's being able to walk back without fear. She closed the notebook, turned off the lamp, and let the quiet settle around her. No ghosts. No echoes. The silence wasn't haunted anymore. It was just silence. And that was beautiful. Maya no longer measured days by survival. She woke, worked, and slept without counting hours. Peace wasn't a sound anymore, it was a rhythm. The world moved, and she moved with it. One morning her phone buzzed. She almost ignored it. Messages rarely carried anything urgent now. But when she saw the name, her stomach nodded. Good news never used to begin that way. Chloe. The subject line read, "Thank you." The message was short. I got the job. I moved out. I still keep that notebook you told me to write in. It's messy, but it helps. Can we talk sometime? Not about the past, about what's next. Maya read it twice. People in pain rarely returned just to talk. They usually vanished once the storm calmed. But Chloe wanted to talk about what's next. That meant growth, not need. She smiled, typing back one word, always. They met at a small cafe that smelled faintly of burnt sugar and tired hope. Chloe looked different, shorter hair, brighter eyes. She sat straighter, but her hands still fidgeted around the cup. You look lighter, Maya said. I am, Chloe answered. But sometimes, when things get quiet, I wait for something bad to happen. I don't trust calm yet. That feeling fades, Maya said. Peace feels strange when you've only known tension. You really believe that? I have to. Otherwise silence still belongs to someone else. Chloe looked at her, half smiling. That's why I wanted to see you. I need to learn how to live after. Maya nodded. After is harder. Before, you at least knew what to expect. After, anything can happen. Freedom comes with noise, too. They both laughed softly. It wasn't the laughter of old friends, but of survivors recognizing each other across distance. Then Chloe said, almost in a whisper, my new boss, he's nice. But sometimes his jokes sound like Aaron's did. Not cruel, just close. And I freeze. You're not back there, Maya said. But your body doesn't know that yet. It learns slower than your mind. How did you stop reacting like that? I didn't, Maya said. I just learned to breathe before I answer. Peace doesn't erase fear, it teaches you how to walk beside it. Chloe listened like someone memorizing a map. Would you talk at the shelter? She asked. You helped me more than any counselor. I'm not a teacher. You already are, Chloe said. You just don't call it that. That night, Maya lay awake, turning the idea over in her mind. She'd built her peace quietly, guarding it. To share it felt dangerous, almost like inviting the past to knock again. But maybe peace wasn't meant to be hoarded. A week later, she walked into the shelter. The coordinator greeted her warmly. You're Maya, right? Chloe told us. Sit wherever you like. You don't have to speak if you don't want to. Perfect, Maya thought. Silence she could do. During the first session, she said little. The women spoke, one after another, voices cracking, stories colliding. Every story sounded like her own voice thrown back from a distance, an echo learning to speak again. She didn't need to add words, her listening was enough. Afterward, Chloe said, You did great. I barely spoke. That's what worked, Chloe replied. You let silence mean safety. Maya kept returning. Faces changed, voices steadied. Laughter started to sound normal again. Peace spread quietly, like warm air through cold rooms. One afternoon, a new woman joined. Her name was Lila. Mid-40s, polite, eyes tired but kind. "It's not my husband," she said. "It's my son. He talks to me the way his father used to." The room fell silent. Maya listened, heart tightening. Then Lila mentioned her ex-husband's workplace, a familiar company name. The name hit Maya like a whisper she'd tried to forget, one she'd painted over but whose colors still bled through. Aaron's old firm. She kept her face calm, voice steady, but inside something shifted. The past had found a detour. Later, outside, Chloe asked quietly, "You okay?" "Fine," Maya said, just realizing how small the world can be. That night, sleep refused to come. Lila's voice replayed in her head. If helping her meant crossing paths with that world again, could she stay peaceful? Would silence still protect her or cage her? The next session, Lila arrived with papers. "My lawyer sent these," she said. "Something about closing an account." Maya's stomach turned when she saw the company logo. Old ink. Old ghosts. She read every line slowly. "Traps hidden behind legal courtesy." Lila asked, "Should I sign it?" "No," Maya said. "Not until you understand what you're giving away." Her tone was firm but calm. The room listened. When they finished, Lila looked at her with awe. "How do you know all this?" "Experience," Maya said. After Lila left, Maya sat still, heartbeat quiet but alive. She had just guided someone through a maze she once barely escaped. Her silence hadn't broken, it had evolved. For the first time, she didn't feel haunted by the past. She felt useful because of it. Weeks passed. The group began to joke, to plan, to talk about small futures. Maya wrote short phrases on scraps of paper. "Save first, speak later. Freedom has paperwork, file it." The women laughed, pocketed the notes. Hope lived in ordinary sentences now. One evening, Chloe came by her apartment. "Everyone keeps asking when you'll come again," she said. "They say you make the room feel safe." "That's a good rumor to have," Maya said. Lila told them you saved her from a bad deal. She said you read it like someone who'd been burned before. "I was," Maya said softly. "But burns heal, they just change the skin." Chloe looked at her thoughtfully. "When I met you, I thought silence was weakness. Now it feels like strength." "Strength isn't loud," Maya said. "It's steady." Chloe smiled. "I started a small group at work. 3 women. We talk after hours. I told them what you taught me." Maya felt warmth spread in her chest. "That's how peace travels, quietly." Chloe nodded. "You turned survival into a language." When she left, Maya sat at her desk. The notebook lay open. She reread an old line, "Peace feels real only when someone tests it." It had been tested, and it had held. Her phone buzzed. She reached without worry, expecting another message from Chloe. But when she saw the name, her breath paused. Aaron. Her hand trembled slightly as she set the phone down. The name she'd buried years ago had found her again, in the gentlest font imaginable. She hesitated before opening it. "I heard what you're doing. It's good work. There's something you should know. Norma left something behind for you. It's about the house." Maya stared at the words, heartbeat loud in the quiet. That house again. The one that used to remember every silence, every argument, every bruise of sound. She thought she'd emptied it of meaning. Apparently not. She typed back, "Why tell me now?" The reply came quickly. "Because it's not about me anymore." She didn't answer. Instead, she placed the phone face down, watching her reflection in the black screen. Her calm held, but inside, echoes stirred. That night, as she locked her door, the floorboards gave a soft creak, the kind that once belonged to another house. She stood still, listening. It was just wood settling. But for a heartbeat, it sounded like memory. At the next Friday session, the women greeted her with laughter and coffee. Chloe handed her a new notebook. "We made this for you," she said. "You should write our stories too." Maya smiled. "Maybe I will." "You already do," Chloe said. "Every time you listen." Maya looked around the room, faces lighter, shoulders no longer hunched. Her silence had changed shape. It wasn't armor anymore. It was shelter. That evening, she returned home and opened the notebook. She wrote only one line. Sometimes peace speaks loudest when it's shared. She closed it, leaned back, and exhaled. The apartment was quiet. Outside, faint traffic murmured life moving on without asking her to hurry. She turned her phone over again. Aaron's message waited, patient, unread for a second time. She stared at it, neither afraid nor angry. Just aware. Peace had taught her how to stay still. Maybe it was about to teach her how to move again. The phone vibrated once against the wooden table, small, sharp, breaking the calm. Maya glanced at the screen. Unknown number. For a second, she thought of ignoring it. She had learned to let the world wait. The text was short. This is about Norma. She left something behind. Said you'd understand. Norma. Peace had made time soft, but that name still carried weight. Maya stared at the message until the screen dimmed. Outside, the morning light moved across the wall, slow and quiet. She hadn't thought about that house in months. She didn't avoid it. She'd simply outgrown it. Or so she believed. She set down her cup, took a steady breath, and went to pack a small bag, not out of fear, not even curiosity, but a feeling closer to duty. Some things deserve to be faced when the silence starts speaking again. The road looked the same but felt different. Where once she had driven shaking, now her hands rested easily on the wheel. The fields blurred past in colors of late autumn. The air carried the clean scent of rain. As the old gate appeared at the curve, her pulse quickened slightly, not panic, just memory. She parked near the sagging fence and stepped out. The house waited at the end of the path, smaller than she remembered. The paint had peeled into pale scales, ivy curled around the porch posts. It didn't look angry anymore. It just looked tired. She paused at the threshold. She wondered if the walls would remember her too. Inside, dust hung in the air like quiet breath. The silence was thick but not cruel. Her footsteps echoed once, then softened, as if the floor recognized her weight. On the table lay a small box tied with worn ribbon and a folded letter beside it. The handwriting was unmistakable, Norma's. Maya hesitated before touching it. The paper felt fragile, edges yellowed, faint scent of lavender and something old. She unfolded it slowly. Maya, I don't expect forgiveness. Only truth. It wasn't the house that broke us. It only remembered what we did. You were right. Sometimes silence is not surrender. It's the sound of truth refusing to disappear. I hope, wherever you are, you've learned to listen to it without fear. N. Maya read it twice, then let her hands fall to her sides. The air seemed to wait. The house waited with her. Then a single board creaked above, slow and heavy, like a long breath leaving old lungs. She exhaled, almost smiling. Maybe we'd just shifted. Maybe memory did too. She looked around. The wallpaper had faded to soft beige. Sunlight slipped through cracks in the boards, drawing pale stripes across the floor. She walked toward the window and pressed against one loose plank until it gave way. Light spilled in, sharp, clean, warm. Light doesn't erase what was hidden, she thought. It just lets you see it without fear. She set the letter and box on the sill, leaving them in that new brightness. Then she turned toward the door. In the hallway, her reflection flickered in the cracked mirror, faint, ghost-like. Years ago, she'd avoided that glass. Now she looked directly at it. The shape staring back wasn't broken anymore. She stepped outside. The morning air carried the smell of wet wood and cold grass. Behind her, the gate creaked closed, a soft final note. For a moment she stood there, listening. No whispers, no footsteps, no hum of old sorrow. Just wind, gentle and unburdened. Driving away, she didn't look in the mirror at first. But as the curve opened, she caught one last glimpse. The house bathed in sunlight, windows still, shadows calm. I thought the house would haunt me, she murmured. Turns out, it was just waiting for someone to listen. The road stretched ahead smooth, bright. She felt lighter, not because the past was gone, but because it had finally found a place to rest. At home, the afternoon slipped quietly toward evening. She brewed tea, opened her journal, and wrote a single line before closing it again. Sometimes peace isn't leaving. It's returning without fear. The kettle clicked off. She turned toward the window. Outside, clouds drifted slow, silvered by the lowering sun. She smiled, faintly, a smile that belonged only to the present. The morning felt lighter, as if the world had exhaled too. Then the phone buzzed again. A new message. Unknown number. You should know what she left behind for you. It's about the house. Her breath caught not fear, not sorrow, just a quiet recognition. She looked out the window once more. The light shifted. The wind touched the chimes. The house, miles away, seemed to stir in her memory, as if walls could dream. She let the message rest on the screen unread. Then, slowly, she closed the curtain. The shutter clicked in the breeze once, twice, like a heartbeat fading into peace.